Real fast, I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Upworthy Weekly. It's a lighthearted news podcast. It comes out on Saturdays, and I have forced my co-host, Todd Perry, to join me here to help me tell you about our new venture. Todd, why should they listen?
Well, I mean, a lot of people, they think, oh, it's the Upworthy podcast. It's just going to be sunshine and it's going to be unicorns. But you know what? It's really not that. Allison doesn't have the ability. She doesn't have it in her to actually be that person that I thought we were hiring when we did this show. But clearly, after just a couple episodes, the facade dropped. Okay? I thought, she's doing the Upworthy show. It's not going to be like, oh, neurotic, cynical Allison, but no, she's there. So, I try to counteract that with some of my good vibes.
I would argue that if one person is coming off as a little bit cynical and unhinged right now, it's not me.
It comes out every Saturday, wherever you get podcasts.
Bye.
Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her the good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy fancy dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I'm here in my studio. Now, normally I would be checking in with producer Tony Thaxton to see how he's doing. But once more, he has abandoned me to play drums with his stupid rock band Motion City Soundtrack. Whether he's plugging the podcast from the stage, I don't know. He claims he is, and he claims that it is getting in the way of the set and that the band is getting upset. I think that this is all made up, and I don't think he really is mentioning the podcast from the stage. If anyone has gone to any of the shows, could you please confirm whether this is happening or not? But that's okay. We don't need him. I'm very excited to welcome back to the show someone who I've stayed in communication with a bit online and on email and stuff. And she was like incredibly kind and blurbed my book years ago. But this is the first time I've had her back on the show we just figured out I thought it was 10 years. It is 9 years. It's almost the same. Please put your hands together for New York Times bestselling author. She's the author of I Like You Just the Way That I Am, Live Fast, Die Hot. Those are books of essays. And then her brand new book is a book of fiction. It's a satire. We'll get into. I enjoyed it immensely. We'll get into it. It's called City of Likes. Please put your hands together for Jenny Mollen. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. We were just doing the math, trying to figure out when we actually were last physically together.
And it was years ago.
I thought it was 2016. You look the exact same.
Oh.
I thought it was 2016, but it was actually 2013. I mean, who even was I? I don't even want to hear that interview. I'm scared.
Okay, well, the funny thing is, I was scared to go back too. I was like,
right?
Yeah. I have this. Do you have this as well? I have this huge aversion to going back and listening to old stuff because I don't even know what it is I don't want to face, but I just don't want to.
You know what it is?
What?
Well, listen, Busy Phillips, I went to high school with her. She just posted something that was in our yearbook. Of course, I didn't hold on to my yearbook. That would be something crazy that I would never do. I'm a Gemini, and who knows where anything really even is now. But it was she posted a picture of a quote that I had in the yearbook that was like, never resist, just go forward into the night. Like some ridiculous bullshit. And then at the end, it was like, Jenny Mollen, thespian.
Oh,
I was like, ew.
Wow.
That's why I don't want to go back. I mean, that encapsulated why I don't have the yearbook. One was the best move ever. Two, never look back.
Right. It's like you don't want to be confronted with who you were trying to be. Well,
yes.
Here's the thing though. This is for me at least, because that's how I was feeling. I was like, I don't want to. But then I went back and I was like, oh my God, this episode is really good. If I may pat both of us on the back, it was really good. It was really entertaining. I felt like we were both there was a lot of it was very vulnerable and revelatory. And I worry that I might have peaked 10 years ago because I'm saying roughly the same shit, just probably in a less articulate manner. So for me, I feel like 10 years ago, I was even though my life circumstances have changed a lot, I was basically the same person. However, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, someone from my past that I went to grade school with was going through old boxes, and they found a letter she found a letter that I sent her when I was like 13 or 14. It was this 4-page letter written in like lavender ballpoint pen. And she's like, I thought you might want to see this. And that was so painful to see who I was trying to pretend to be when I was 13 or 14. That was like your yearbook quote times a million.
Yes.
It was just
crazy.
4 pages of lies. It was just all exaggerated lies about how cool I was. And oh my God. Oh, it brings me pain. But I think 10 years ago, you'd be fine with who you were.
Oh, I hope so. Man, I don't know. But having a kid definitely breaks you, doesn't it? It's like it changes you, humbles you.
Yes.
I feel like I am definitely different than the girl I was in 2013.
Right. Well, so we've both had 2 children since then.
Yes.
2 boys.
Yes. 2 boys.
I know.
Yeah, so you know.
I know. Yeah, mine are 5 and 3 now. How old are yours?
I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Okay. How do you feel about that age difference? Because when I
love it.
Mine are great and perfect. That being said, sometimes I wish I had more space between them because
yes,
I for some reason I thought 2 years, oh, that's like a perfect number. That's like a perfect age difference. However, they're kind of not at each other's throats, but they don't get along just as much as they get along right now, at least.
Yes, I think it's the ages that you're at though, because my kids also want to kill each other.
Okay.
When the younger one got to be, I would say like 3 or 4. Yeah, before he wasn't a threat. He was just, Sid always wanted to be, he tells me he's the main character of our family. And when I look at Laszlo, even when he was a baby, Sid would look at me. I was in a cab. I glanced over at the bassinet and Sid goes, "Don't look at him." So I was like, oh my God, like I can't even look at him. But now when he became a person and started like articulating his feelings right around like 3 or 4, that's when it was on between them and they really started to fight. So I don't know that like more space helps that. But the thing it does help is as a mom, you're able to sort of appreciate the age that your younger one is at in a way that I feel like my mom never did. She was having my sister's teeth pulled so that she could have us in braces at the same time.
Oh my God.
We're 16 months apart.
Oh wow.
So it's kind of just like having twins.
Mm-hmm.
I like this gap because I almost like forget what Sid was like at that age, and then I get to have I have the experience again with Laszlo. So that's been fun.
Yes, that's another reason I kind of wish I put more space between them is because I feel like they're going to be out of the house in like a snap. It's going to happen so
Isn't
fast.
It crazy? Yeah, it's
that,
true.
And we're not having any more, but I do almost wish I could have one more just because I feel like on the 3rd go round, that time I really would be able to be present in a way that I wasn't. And I don't know if that's true.
Yes.
But,
yes.
So I feel like being present, the pull of social media, because I have a real phone addiction, all of that stuff is something I think about it a lot as a mom, how to be present with my kids, how toxic is social media. And I know that that's something you think about a lot. And I know that factored into the book. Can you talk a bit about like where you have landed with all that? Because all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, you're not really on Twitter the way you used to be.
No. Oh yeah. I kind of stopped tweeting when Donald Trump became president. That was the end for me. I was like, this is no longer the platform that it used to be. I cannot be funny here anymore. It felt dangerous, to be honest. I was like, it's like dangerous to put things out there. And I didn't feel that way before. It used to be fun. And also, I guess I didn't have kids and I had nothing to lose, so I could say whatever I wanted. But the world changed. And so I really stopped tweeting. And Instagram at that same time became like a real revenue stream for me. And it sort of launched me into this whole different kind of, on this other trajectory, which was influencing and being a voice of like, mommyhood somehow, or whatever, messy mommyhood. And so I went kind of down that path, and yeah, it's, and I lived to tell.
Well, so wait, I do want to, okay, I got to make a note to myself. Well, actually, I'll just throw out my question, and then, and I don't mean throw out like in the garbage. I mean, I'll say what it is, but then we'll come around to it. So
Okay.
your book deals with like a momfluencer, and I
Yes.
was wondering, who is that supposed to be? Is that you? But like, that's not really you. So that's kind of my question is, are there parts of you and a lot of different characters who inspired the different characters, et cetera? So put a pin in that one, because let's go back to
Okay.
Twitter for a second. When
Okay.
you say that it felt dangerous, had you, do you mean like dangerous to you personally and your family, or do you mean dangerous to your career?
Both. I think it was scary to be funny. It felt like, I watched friends of mine. I mean, people that too, that were part of that crew, that we all, you were on Twitter at the same time as me. And we kind of like there was a community of us, and I watched people in that community get torn down, lose deals at major studios, all because of like stupid fucking tweets they made. It was absolutely ridiculous. But there was that. And then there was the cancel culture, the beginning of cancel culture. But then it was also the fact that like I was scared to speak. I felt like I was living in like a police state, and I couldn't speak out against the government without getting like death threats and like hate. And it just did not feel as a mom with like a young baby, who lives in a city where I walk everywhere and I'm, confronted by people day and night. I did not feel it was safe to be tweeting at that time.
Yeah. I'm still on Twitter, although
Yeah.
the engagement I feel like has really gone down. And I'm like, because Twitter is still the platform where I have the most followers, but the least engagement. So I don't know what's going on there.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's strange. It makes me wonder, like, is shadow banning a thing, and has that happened? I think I hear that.
No,
from
it's
a lot
probably
of
people like me who follow you who just never go on.
Maybe.
So you think they're not answering, but really it's just like they're probably just like, they have the app, of course, still, but they're just not on there.
I think because I hear it from a lot of people, and plus,
it's like what happened with Facebook.
I think too, there's just like so many. It's happening so fast that it's like no one is really consuming their whole feed. Well, it's kind of the point you're making too. But anyway, with Twitter, oftentimes I think like best case scenario, a lot of people retweet your tweet and like your tweet. Worst case scenario, you lose your job. Like what?
Yes.
What is the point of this?
Job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you're blacklisted.
Yeah. It's like, so you went back and deleted your old tweets and things, right?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, my husband had a bunch of stuff happen around Twitter.
Oh,
and
right.
it was just crazy. It was
I forgot
crazy
about
and
that.
absolutely ridiculous. And like, if you know Jason at all, I mean, it's so crazy how like the far right like tried to just come at him and like turn him into some sort of like chauvinist asshole. And if you know anything about him, you know that he's like such a girl sandwiched between like two sisters. Like I'm in a lesbian relationship, and they're like telling me that my husband is some sort of like,
Completely forgot about
chauvinistic
that.
dick. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. And that these innocuous tweets. I mean, he was fired from a job. I mean, it was insane. So for me, I was like, I'm out. I'm done with Twitter.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That must have been really stressful.
It was scary. Yeah. It was scary, but it was also like so ridiculous. And you could tell that it was just, I mean, also like, look at James Gunn. I mean, so many people that we love were just getting like ripped apart they were just trying to be funny. And maybe you don't think it's funny. Maybe you do, who knows? But at the time, if you remember on Twitter, the more outrageous you could be, the more like you were like propelled forward. It was like, it was
that's the
all
thing
about
is-
shock value. It was very like Howard Stern, just like
Right.
say whatever the fuck you want. And I did it too. And I mean, I cringe thinking about some of the tweets I made now. Like when they come to my mind, certain things, I'm like, oh my God, I put that into the world. I said that like in
Yeah.
today's society, it'd be canceled instantly.
Mhm.
But that was what Twitter was for us then. We were just trying to be outrageous.
Right.
Because we just wanted, it's like, you just wanted to be seen.
Mhm.
And then it took a sharp turn, and that became a medium that I didn't want to be involved with.
Right.
Even though I think I was funnier when I was on Twitter because I thought in tweets. I started to think in what is it? How many characters or less? I mean, that was like
140 then. Now it's 280.
140. Oh, weird. See, I don't know if I could do the new format. But yeah, it would throw me. I'd be like at a dinner party and be like, "That's a tweet. That's a tweet." So
Yeah.
I miss that, but that's about it.
So then on Instagram, that started turning into a revenue stream. And some, your book explores the novel explores that a bit, but
Yes.
am I understanding correctly that like you were getting deals for promoting items and things like that as
Yes.
like a mommy influencer, a mom influencer?
Yes.
That's cool. How did that come about?
It just sort of happened. I feel like I had a second child, and next thing I knew, I was like on the cover of Parents Magazine and talking about, writing my like shtick about, my approach to parenting. And then next thing you know, it was like brands were approaching me asking if I would sell maxi pads for them and dog food and hairbrushes and like anything you can think of. And then, what happens from there is that your house ends up getting taken over with boxes of people just sending you shit that they cross their fingers and hope that you post. And yeah, like eventually you become a slave to it.
Yeah. So then, oh God, I have so many questions, both about what I'm going to do something that's not very professional journalisty, or interviewery, but just because I know we kind of have limited time, I'm just going to throw out like the things that I'm curious about, and you can pick up whatever direction you want to go. These are the things that I'm curious about. I'm curious about how the book got made and what made you want to do fiction and what that was like. I'm curious about how you feel about external validation, because I know that that's something that's in the book, and I myself have wondered, like, what is a healthy relationship with external validation? Like, what really is the role that is supposed to play? And then also, I am, like I said, I'm wondering the actual story and the characters in the book. Where do you fit in with that? How much is that based on, things in your life, stuff like that?
Okay. Well, I wanted to write the book because I knew I was going to do a third book, and I thought at first, I'm going to write a mommy memoir. And to be honest, I was writing for Parents Magazine monthly at the time, and I was bored with the mommy stuff. I was like, you know what? This just doesn't feel right to me right now. And I also had to be careful because my eldest had become more of a person, and I didn't want to just like exploit his childhood for comedy, even though I have anyway. I don't show his face, and like there are lines that like I won't cross, but yeah, like I mean, I am a writer, and I'm not fully like a Nora Ephron everything is copy believer, but yeah, I definitely am guilty of that. But I didn't want to write a memoir at that time. And a friend of mine said, "Why don't you write about what's actually going on with you?" Which was like, I came to New York in a different position than I came to LA. In LA, it was like I was a theater major at UCLA, just like hustling to like get a guest star. I thought the biggest thing in the world would be to be on a billboard and be able to tell people I was in a pilot. And then I moved to New York, and I was just in a different place in life and in my career. And I came to New York with this following of female viewers between the ages of 18 to 35 with a little bit of buying power. And for that reason, doors opened for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was invited to these like underground mommy supper clubs and like weddings for dogs and, fashion week, high profile, sushi galas. I mean, it just was a different world entirely. And, there aren't like as many celebrities in New York. That's the funny thing. So in LA, like nobody gave a shit. There were a billion other people to invite before me. But in New York, they're like, oh, Jason Biggs and his wife, they're kind of interesting. Like we were like, we're not the richest people in the room by a landslide, but we were like the court jesters. And like, so like they would have us. And I started like meeting all these people, and they were all these interesting women who a lot of them are just like super fucking wealthy. But they can't be ladies who lunch. They need to be ladies who launch, because that's like the new thing. Like you have to be a girl boss and a CEO of your own company, and, have a brick and mortar clothing store somewhere that like sells like, dresses that look like they're for, 13-year-old girls at like a beach bonfire. But like that is kind of whatever the vibe was. And these people embraced me. So I was seeing behind the curtain. And what I couldn't help but notice was that there was such a disparity between motherhood as it was being portrayed online and motherhood as I was seeing these women actually live it. Mm-hmm. And I would go home at night and I was just haunted by this question, which was, if we're so busy curating motherhood online for other people, how present are you in your fucking life for your own kids?
Yeah.
Like when your kids are sitting at a table and you have a phone in your hand, I guarantee you one day they're going to say, who was in that fucking phone that was more important than the person sitting in front of you? And I'm so guilty of it. Like I'm writing this book because these are the things that I need to hear. Mm-hmm. I needed the smack in the face. Because there were moments chills. Where
I literally have like my hair is standing up on end right now. And I'm not saying that to be melodramatic. Like that's actually happening just because it's because this is something I worry about.
Yes, it resonates, right? And I think that women like us, especially like millennial moms, children of baby boomer narcissist parents who crave validation and need like to finally be acknowledged. Like we are like the perfect victim for this like Pavlovic fucking thing.
Totally.
That we're like, let's just refresh. And I'm answering people who I don't even fucking know, saying like, oh, where did I get my shoes? Why do I feel the need to write them back?
Yes.
Why do I feel the need to like stop making dinner to like give that answer?
To sort something out with people that you don't even know.
Don't even care. Yes. Don't even know.
Right.
And and I got really sucked in, and it became really, truly like the other woman in my marriage and like the cigarette that I was hiding from my kids. And so that was why, whether or not people didn't want this book from me. I couldn't sell it to save my life, but I had to write this book and I needed it to be in the world because I think it's a message that like I needed to hear. Mm-hmm. And so I believed so strongly that, and I still do, that other women need to hear it too.
You couldn't save it to sell your life
at all. Oh my God. No, I was probably passed by like 6 of the major publishing houses before the first time around. I pulled the submission off the market. I was like, it's clearly not good enough. It's not there yet. So I took another year. I rewrote it. And part of me wonders now, like, was it not good enough? Or like, I don't think I've improved that much. I'm the same writer I always was. I mean, this book sounds just like my first books. Or were people not ready to see it as a problem? Were people not ready to look at themselves and go, oh, fuck, this really is an issue. Right. We were still 4 years ago, you were still being lauded and like propped up for oversharing. I mean, that was still like cool. Like the more oversharing, the more you could give, the bigger breakdown you could have online, the like bigger your film and TV deals became. So I don't know, but for whatever reason, it didn't sell. So I rewrote it. And then I tried to sell it again. I took it out right at the end of the pandemic, right around the time the Capitol was being stormed. Mm-hmm. And then the feedback again passed on by like 12 houses flat out.
What was the feedback?
The feedback was, I don't know if in a post-COVID world, a story about privileged women, white women in lower Manhattan doesn't read as tone deaf. And I thought to myself, like, you're so fucking wrong.
But look at like
Like,
Real Housewives.
This is like real. Like, this needed to be called fiction because it's my most honest book. And because if I wrote this as a memoir, I would have been driven out of New York City. So this is what it is. And like, then it became for me almost like I needed to have that Pretty Woman moment of like walking back into the store on Rodeo Drive and being like, big mistake, huge. And so now I'm getting to live it right now as I do press for this book, because I'm like, all of you guys can fucking suck it. I have this book now, like, I've really sold my soul. I'm doing every single thing I can do to just like make sure it's in their faces everywhere they turn. But I know it's good. Like, that's the best part. If it wasn't good, you know, what would it matter? But the book is like finally what it was supposed to always be, and I'm so proud of it.
So finally, so someone at some point bought it.
So what happened was I ended up I changed agents twice during this. I mean, like, it was really brutal. And finally somebody said to me, there's this guy, Brian Folkweiss, and he has a book imprint. But all he's ever done is publish a book about toys. But that did really well. And he ended up getting a Netflix deal, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, Ingram has given him a book imprint. And would you want to take a meeting with him? And I was like, I know Brian. He produced the movie I met Jason on. I mean, I've known him for years. So yeah, let me talk to him. And I sat down with him, and he was just
He's like a
listen,
comedy guy, right?
he's a comedy guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's like, listen, like, I don't know. Maybe the book is for me. Maybe it isn't. But I believe in you, and I'll do whatever you want to do. Like, if you want to do it, like, let's go on the ride. And so we did it. And what was so genius was that because I didn't go through a regular publisher, I didn't have to wait until it was like a bound manuscript to take it out and shop it to studios. So then I was able to kind of like get a bidding war going, because I sent it to Sony and, you know, sent some other places, and ended up selling it as a, you know, getting a deal.
That's
so
awesome.
That was so random as well. And probably wouldn't have happened had I gone the more traditional publishing route. But for me, I was like, I just want it. Brian, can you get it bound? Can it be hardcover? And can you get it in bookshelves? My ego can't handle, you know, an Amazon book.
Right,
I need it to be real in my hands. And he's like, that I can do. So yeah. So, I mean, it's been an interesting ride, and here we are. Finally, it's about to come out. And I mean,
And
dude,
Diablo Cody is involved, right?
yeah. And Diablo is going to be supervising and EPing, which is brilliant.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
great. Congratulations.
Yes,
and
thank
to all
you.
the people who passed on it because blah, blah, blah. Fuck you.
Yes, exactly. No,
Yeah.
it's so like Jaws. This time it's personal. Like, this is
Yeah.
fully Jaws revenge.
Want to take a quick break to tell you guys about Terracana. Everyone is talking about CBD these days. By now, most of you know that it's a great way to help with pain, inflammation, and sleep without the high associated with its cousin, THC. What you may not realize is that CBD and other hemp-based compounds also have amazing benefits for your skin. Terracana Cosmetics is a certified brands company that combines the amazing benefits of CBD and CBG with other cutting-edge ingredients like starfish extract to make some of the best skincare products on the market. Now, I know what you're thinking, starfish extract, but what about the starfish? Like, what happens to them? Starfish extract is a natural alternative to retinol that reduces wrinkles and is much gentler on sensitive skin types. But the best part is it's sustainably harvested with zero harm to the starfish and zero THC. Terracana Moisturizer and Age-Defying Eye Cream will leave your skin looking and feeling younger. Go to www.terracanaskin and use code Allison for $25 off your order. That's www.terracanaskin.com. Promo code Allison, ALISON, for $25 off your first order. Okay. What was the actual experience of writing fiction like? Although what I'm hearing you say is that it's not really fiction.
I mean,
It
it's
is-
fiction in the sense that this is all, it's based on my real life. It's all my like own personal truth. But the story is so contrived. I mean, it's not a real those two people aren't real. Daphne is a composite of many women. The female relationship, the relationship is based on relationships that I've had with women, but, you know, in a different way. But I do attract narcissists, and I do fall like under their spell and end up serving them. So that's all real.
Do you, this is a personal question that you don't have to answer. But the main character, what do you identify as straight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ask because there's you know, it's come to my attention recently that I'm not sure that I'm using these terms correctly anymore. I was going to say there's a queer relationship in the book, but I don't know that. Is that the right
I feel
descriptor?
like it is queer, and I'm always like, it's very gay. And by the way, like they in so many drafts they did have sex, like they did, and I didn't want to take it out, and I really struggled with that. And I say like that I'm straight because I'm, you know, married to a man and in a straight relationship, but like there are definitely. I have had relationships with women, and if I were in a relationship with a woman right now, I probably wouldn't be like, I'm straight, guys. But like, I think, you know, I mean, I am living this life. So in the life that I'm in, but no, I've definitely had, relationships with women, and it was important for me to almost like not say if she was gay or straight, like, and not even bring that up because it almost doesn't even matter. I think that we all have like, it's all such a gray area these days. It's not really like, are you gay? Are you straight? I was raised straight. I don't know. Like if I were raised now, like would I have probably dated more girls in my high school than guys? Maybe, you know, but it's just how we were raised, us, like, you know, how we grew up.
I know that's what's occurring to me. Maybe my question is an indication of how much of a dinosaur I am. And I need to get that thinking out of here. Because now we don't have to define it.
I don't think so anymore. I don't think so. Yeah. I
feel like I should just have Tony cut that out because I'm a young hip person who doesn't need to apply labels to things. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the external validation of it all, because I really did like a while ago. Part of this pandemic for me has been realizing how much external validation I crave and need, and it really has been about this was like, I feel like this was like my journey like a year ago.
Yes,
but it involved my phone so much because I woke up and I was scrolling, and then all of a sudden I was in a terrible mood, and I didn't know why I was in a terrible mood, and I was like, I've barely been awake today. Why am I already in a bad mood? And then I remembered, it's because I looked at
what
Instagram.
I saw.
Yeah. And then I realized, you know, all these rapid assumptions I had made based on a picture I saw about my worth in the world and as I mean, just like insanity. And then I was just like, oh my God, this is, and then I sort of
crazy.
Yeah. But I like thought myself out of it, which felt like a huge victory for me to be able to realize like none of that is true. But then I was like, if I led another life, I want to make a documentary or write an essay or something about what is a healthy relationship with external validation. Is there even one? What do you think?
I mean, I don't know because I definitely don't have it. I mean, I am so in awe of my husband who, like, you know, came with me to the View yesterday. And he's like, you're going to do great. And maybe it's because he's famous. I don't know. Or like he's like not threatened by me at all. But I was like, Jason, like, you're so supportive of me. And like, I don't know if you had a book coming out right now and you were like going on all these talk shows and doing, I don't think I would be like able to be so, you're great, baby. And like need like, and not have it be a reflection of like my own inadequacy somehow. Like it would be fucking hard. That's why like when I first met him, I was like, I can't date him. Like he's going to make me feel bad about myself. And yeah, it was like a big issue in our relationship, like until I started tweeting, to be honest, and getting validation.
Right.
But no, I don't know what a healthy relationship looks like because there was such a, for me, such I don't know. I think there's just such a dearth of, I don't whatever the childhood shit is. I mean, like
Recognition, attention.
There's a hole there that I can't fill.
Yes.
I'm sure it's why I became an actor. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm still trying to learn that as well.
Do you still act? I don't know why.
No.
I don't know why I paused so long.
No,
I think because you don't. Okay.
I try not to. I mean, it's just like, I don't want to service somebody else's story. Like when I wrote the book, I was like, oh my God, it was like a light went off. And I just thought to myself, like, I'm never going back to that again. But when you're a young kid growing up in Arizona and you want to tell stories and, there is no social media, you join the theater department and you follow that path. I also was dyslexic, so it's not like I ever thought I could write, So yeah, no, but I don't know. For me, no, I get such anxiety when I'm stuck on a set and I have to do it. And I'm like, oh no, when can I go home? What do you mean I'm not up until like the end of the day? And then I get starvation anxiety in the trailer. I'm like, every snack sucks here. It's just like, I hate it. I don't love doing it. I end up getting pulled back in for things, I would say. And sometimes it's fun. And other times I'm just like, are we done yet? Didn't you get it? Wasn't that take it good enough? Let's move on.
Right. Okay. So not the lifestyle for you.
For me, no.
Yeah. So what are your social media habits? Because I want to learn from you as someone with 2 young kids and just a out of control phone addiction.
Yeah. Like for me, really, I think about it. It's like, I am guilty of like getting sucked into that deep dive scroll when I really just don't have anything else to sort of focus on. But I'm such a workaholic. So I think that oftentimes for me, what it becomes about is like answering the requests and posting something new and, trying to like move the needle with my like bare hands, like trying desperately to sort of accomplish something, which also is an illusion because like, as we know, like look at what happened to the Vine stars. It's like here today, gone
Right.
tomorrow. Like, what am I investing in? I don't know. But yeah, so I would like always in the beginning sort of justify it as I'm just working. I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
Of course, this is my work now. I make money doing this. I have to do it. And now, especially like right now when I'm trying to sell a book, I mean, I'm on my phone 24/7 all day long. Thank God my kids are at school and don't have to see it. But when the kids are around, I really try my hardest. And I'm not saying that I am perfect at this. I fuck up all the time to not engage with it. I really try my hardest. I mean, all bets were off during the pandemic. It was like they discovered who we really were. And that was a bummer. And now I'm just trying to like recoup from that time.
Yeah. And also, you moved to New York and stayed there. And I'm so
Yes.
jealous because I wish I lived in New York, even though my life is
You
very much
moved to
in LA.
LA, right? From New York.
Well, I'm from LA originally, and then I lived in New York for another thing that I round up to 10, but really it was more like 9 years.
Okay,
and then I
got
came
it.
back, but I always someday I hope to get back to New York because I really miss it.
That's what you always said to me. I remember that
Yeah.
you wanted to be back here.
Yeah. My husband, who's from Arizona, actually, he doesn't want to live in New York. I think maybe I said this back then, he and I were not married then, but we're already living together. I think he feels like if the situation was right, if circumstances were right, and by that he
Yeah.
just means like if we had like a shitload of money and could live
Yes.
the way you want to live in New York,
Yes.
then maybe, but otherwise he's not really like inclined. And I actually don't know how that would even go, raising kids in New York. That's sort of daunting. I think my fantasy of New York is the life I had, and my life is totally different now. But yeah, I do miss
Right.
it.
Right? I know. I think about I mean, yeah, it definitely, like, I think about LA and I'm like, oh my God, like, how would I raise kids there now? I don't even know. The convenience here is amazing. I mean, everything, I live in a small village. I never have to get in a car. They go, maybe I'm like walking a few miles to their school or what have you, but I don't have to deal with like the stuff my sister does with the carpools and like the freeways and all that shit. So I love it for that. But let me tell you, I would fucking kill for a backyard.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds amazing. Think about two boys in a city where every weekend you're like, oh, I gotta take them outside. Like, these are wild animals. We gotta run them. So that is annoying.
What do you do? Where do you go?
Anywhere. I'm like the park, the mall. I don't even know. I run out of places to go. Sometimes I'm just like, let's just wander. Let's just like walk around our block a bunch of times and maybe you'll get tired.
Right. Do you own car seats?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have a car. I have a car now. I didn't used to.
Right. So tell me about Dictator Lunches.
So Dictator Lunches started because I was be bored at night in my kitchen, just fucking around. And I wanted to micromanage, I guess, the food that my kids were eating, or my son was eating at the time. I was like, I want to make him something really healthy and great. But it was me like sublimating my own guilt as a working mom. I wasn't the one picking him up after school. I wasn't the one taking him to school. Because I'm a workaholic, I'm always fucking working. And so this was my way of showing up for him. I think that we're in a weird predicament, women of our generation, because while most of us want to do things and be working women and rule the world and break all the glass ceilings, we're also children of moms who worked. So we were also latchkey kids. So we have this just, our guilt is compounded. You're a mom and you're always guilty anyway, but you're doubly guilty because you have the injuries of a kid whose mom worked. So like, you're kind of fucked. And that's why I started making the lunches. I'm like, I'm going to send him to school with a movable feast. I want it to be everything that I didn't have. And yeah, I mean, I'm just like a big believer in health and nutrition. And I don't think that America places enough value on nutrition in general. I mean, children who are on school funded lunches are getting $1.40 per meal per day. And that is like disgusting and like shameful, but there's no lobbyists in DC that are lobbying on behalf of kids besides lunch ladies. And they're up against these big, chocolate milk lobbyists who are being paid by crazy dairy farm companies. And I mean, it's just a mess. But socioeconomics aside, I also think that the privileged moms I know, the women who are walking out of these $50 million townhouses, are also like taking the path of least resistance because they don't want to have that fight. They're like, I have too much other shit to worry about. I don't want to have my kid have a fucking meltdown. So take the fucking Lunchable and go to school. Yeah. And while I get that, while it would be so easy for me to just be like, here's the whatever, I can't bring myself to do it because I think that like nutrition, it's like, why am I spending all this money to like enrich your mind, for you to play piano, for you to speak German, for you to go like do all these great things in the world? And yet like, I'm just going to feed you garbage. It makes no sense. Like I truly don't get it. And I also think that like the more we dumb down food for kids, the more dumb food they're going to eat. They're not like dogs that we're just going to like throw pellets at them and be like, when you're older, you'll get a salad. When you're older, you'll have the Niswa. But right now, here's like another nugget. It's like weird. There's no other country in the world does that.
Yeah. So you started designing these really visually interesting and nutritious meals on an Instagram account with very creative captions. And now it's going to be a book coming out in September, right?
Yes. So it comes out in September. It's called Dictator Lunches. And it was so fun to do because it was so collaborative. I mean, I am such a micromanager with like my novel. The editor will try to like move a word and I'm like, what did you do here? Something's different. Something's different. And like with the cookbook, I'm like, guys, can you help me? Like, can somebody teach me how to like write a recipe? I don't even know. Here's what I threw in it. Tell me how many tisps I need, So it's a fully different beast. And there were so many literal cooks in my kitchen to do it. But it's a fun book and it is just so light and easy and such a departure from, the weight of this novel that I need to get like out into the world. But yeah, so that's going to be a fun one. And the pictures are so gorgeous.
That's so cool. Well, we're lunchbox twins. I have the same lunchbox. That thing is very heavy.
Oh my God, it's so heavy, right?
Yeah.
I know. And stuff like gets all over the place.
Mhm.
There really isn't a perfect lunchbox.
No.
Sheesh.
Yeah, no. I have wondered, are they like on the my kids' preschool is all about that specific lunchbox. And I'm like, are they getting a kickback from Planet Box or whatever it is? I don't think they are, but they just
No,
love
they
that
make
lunchbox.
Planet Box makes no money. They're really like such a small company. They're such sweet people.
Yeah.
But like it is still such a like they're owned by Lifetime Brands, which is a bigger company, but they're still so mom and pop. Like they really are the real deal. Just like, I don't know, small. They're still so small.
Well, we're loyal to them. Both kids have those kind of lunchboxes. We have their little inserts, and
I love it. And they care
Yeah.
about the environment. I mean, like, what more can you want?
that's a good company.
It is a good company.
Do you happen to have a just me or everyone? That's the segment we do where people write in with things they think or do, and they wonder if it's just me or everyone. And sometimes
Yes.
I ask my guest.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
Okay, yes. What is yours?
So my just me is like, is it just me or like are Ubers? Like, is it scary that we just get in the car with anybody? We don't actually know these people. Like, they haven't been vetted. We don't know how they drive at all, but we're just like, you seem fine. I mean, like haven't they just like signed up for the app? Like, who knows who you're actually in a car with? That freaks me out. And sometimes now in New York, especially, and maybe in LA, I don't know, but like parents will let their kids get in an Uber by themselves. That is fucking scary. That scares me so much. I don't think I could do that. I don't want to be in an Uber by myself. So is that just me or is that everybody?
Well, it's definitely not everyone, given how many people take Ubers and Lyfts all the time. I don't think it's just you who thinks this, though, because it's definitely occurred to me. That
Like, do you ever get on the phone when you're in an Uber and like let them know that you're talking to a friend so that they can't like try to kidnap you?
Yes, I have done that. And also, now, speaking of social media, do you ever look at TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
No.
Oh my God, that's a really addictive one. I stayed off of it for years because I was like, I don't enjoy looking at Instagram Reels. I don't see why I would enjoy this app. And now that I'm on it, I'm like, oh my God, it's very fun. I don't make them, but I do enjoy looking at it. But anyway, there are a lot of TikToks that people will make where it's like, save this, and if you're uncomfortable in an Uber or a Lyft, play it, and it'll be someone who's like, hey, how's it going? You know, how much longer? Okay, yeah. You know, I'll come to the door when you're, and it's like the other side of a conversation.
Amazing.
So that it sounds like it's like your boyfriend who's gonna, you know, waiting for you when you show up. It's really
so
cool.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Although my thing is like, I wouldn't even know how to save this and play it in an Uber if I wanted to.
Mine would be like on loop and he'd be like, clearly, ma'am, you have a recording and you think I'm going to kill you. And I'm offended. I have a 5-star rating.
But I do think that all the time, though. I think like what is the vetting? This does feel like, but I also think that I have had that thought about taxis, even though I know that there is more of like a vetting with that. But it does feel like,
it all
hope this goes well. Yeah.
Right? Hope this goes well.
Right.
Yes.
When I lived in New York, that was before those apps. Now I feel like it would be so much easier to find a ride. Because that thing where you're like trying to find a taxi, but it's that turnover hour.
Oh, I hate that.
That people claim doesn't exist.
That happen to me. Yeah, it always used to happen.
But it does. And then also, oh no, go ahead.
No, yes, I remember that. And it'd be raining and I'm like, oh, fuck this.
Right. And then also, do you have a hey, go fuck yourself where we tell someone to go fuck themselves?
I feel like that right now. I mean, about certain women who, you know, it's like I am such a, like giving you the blurb. I'm so glad that you said that I gave you the blurb. I didn't remember. I forgot that I had done that. I forgot.
It was so nice of you.
But like that, I'm so happy you reminded me of that because that is like a perfect tie into this go fuck yourself, because I feel like so many times like women don't think that there's enough room for everybody, and they like kind of like will ask you for favors, and you show up for them for years, but then like when you turn around and have something and like they see you struggling in the water and they don't lift a finger to fucking help you or support you or be like, you know, I give you that like sort of plug. I find that so despicable. And of course, you know, and as you know, because you've had a book come out, you see who your true friends are. You get to see like who shows up for you and who doesn't. And it's very enlightening. But hey, go fuck yourself to the people that don't, because like they're dead to me now. And also, hey, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, because you know that this makes all the difference in the world. So thank you for having me back.
Oh, you are so welcome.
So, hey, women who don't show up for other women.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Wonderful. Jenny, it was so nice having you
good
back
to talk to you
on the show. Tell everyone where they can get your book, where they can find you, plug all your stuff.
Okay, so I have a podcast called Third Wheel with Jenny Mollen on Podcast One, where I pry into the lives of couples. And then the book comes out on Tuesday, City of Likes. Hopefully you can find it everywhere. My Instagram handle is just Jenny Mollen, JENNYMOLLEN, and Dictator Lunches is how it sounds, Dictator Lunches. And my kids are the dictators. I'm just living in their autocratic world.
Perfect. And if you like what you're hearing, or even if you don't, please make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a nice comment wherever you listen, Apple Podcasts or what have you. Follow me on social media at Allison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. Listen to my other podcast, Childish. That's my parenting-ish podcast with Greg Fitzsimmons, and Upworthy Weekly. That is my lighthearted news podcast. Comes out on Saturdays. I am on Patreon, patreon.com/Allison Rosen. Rewards, etc. is a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. If you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free, or you could do it month by month. And what am I forgetting? I don't know. AllisonRosen.com for everything else. Thank you again, Jenny. It was so nice catching up with you. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show? We had a good time.